All right, we are out here uh, doing some work. I thought I would do a kind of day in the life. You know what the workers do when they aren't on YouTube situation. So right now I am grinding down some herbs and stalks and making powders. Be making some red brick dust. But you guys are free to interact with me. It may get a little bit loud. I have an industrial mill here that can get very very loud. So and I may have to have my respirator on because it gets very very fine powder. But in the midst of all of that, if y'all want to interact or ask questions or whatever, I'll definitely get to it as I can. But let me kind of prep some things here. we got some um, we got some brick. This I think this brick is almost, I want to say at least 60 or 70 years old. You just need to break it up a little bit. All right, into some smaller, more brittle pieces, and then we're getting this stuff ready for the Hoodoo auction this week. So that way, when you guys order, I can just drop it in a box and ship it on out to you. You want to make sure you unplug that because this blade ain't no joke. This thing can take your whole hand off, and y'all be asking for, you know, the root worker's hand medicine, you know. Think about that, having a root doctor's hand in your mojo bag. That's something. So put these pieces in here. We can probably put that like that there. Yeah. Right. Let's lock this on down like that. Let's see, we really want to get a tight lock on that. And lock on that like that. Go ahead and turn this bad boy on. Hey there. See what we got here. Definitely want to make sure you unplug that. Oh yeah, y'all can see all that smoke. Y'all can see that just ground all that up into a really really fine powder. Look at that. It's just that fine. Just that fine. So what we're gonna do is here we go. We're gonna sift this out here. Some of these pieces are gonna go back in here. All right. Now, of course, we're going to uh, doctor this powder up. We're going to add some other protective charges to the red brick dust to really give it some boost. So, but then if you just want regular red brick dust, we got that too. So you can get it doctored up, and you can get it, just plain red brick dust. Ugh, there we go. We can just tip that real easy like that. Real easy like that. We're gonna put that back in here, and we're gonna take the hammer. Well, here it is. Just break them up a little bit more. There we go. And really get that dust that we want. So I can show you guys on the camera, just what we got here. Put this back on here, like that. All right. Sometimes you can do it based upon time. Rest in peace headphones, right? Sometimes you can do it based upon time. Sometimes you can just listen for the blades and they start sounding wobbly. But I know it's pretty much got that down to a powder. See if I can let's see if I can turn this camera around so you guys can see. Let's see. Let's see here. Here we go. So you guys can see I went from a brick to this very, very fine powder. Just like that. Right? Here's the same thing. We just put them back in here. Very, very fine powder. So that makes it easier to, add other powders and herbs and medicine and stuff too when you already have it powdered down yourself. Then you find my spoon that I use. Yes, we're making red brick dust right now. And we'll take this and get a fine sifter and sift this out. Rest of that. Just like that. So now we got some fine red brick dust. Actually, I'm going to sift this again one more time. I think I might have made a mistake. So it's not going to do no harm. yeah, we're just gonna sift this out one more time, just to make sure I got all the little fine granules out. Alright. There we go. Alright, yeah, so it's good. It's all good. Alright, so we can put that, we can start on the next thing. What I got talking about in here? How old do you recommend the bricks to be if you're going to make your own dust? I say the older the brick, the better. The older the brick, the better. Um, the older the brick, I think that's just a good rule of thumb. If you can find them, I think second to that would be not even so much age, but also location, like where the brick came from, right? So that incorporates the energy of locality, genus loci, the spirit of place. That every location, every area has a genus loci or spirit of that place, and everything that's under or in, I should say, the domain or under the aegis of that spirit over time begins to soak up, absorb the radiation of that energy of that spirit, almost as if by osmosis. So that's why we use different dirt from different places, right? Because the dirt is not necessarily a thing unto itself, but it holds in it the um, the energetic blueprint of wherever it came from. It has that same radiation. So I would look at the age of the brick, which is in my mind foremost, but then secondary to that would be um, where the brick is from, right? So, for example, if there was a particular place that you were laying down brick dust for to protect, then a brick you found closest to that place would probably be more advantageous for you. Um, if you got if you got the brick from a building or from a building that was antithetical to what you needed to protect, you leave that brick right where it was, right? So uh, let me think here. In other words, like you wouldn't take the brick from a known racist group and then try to use that to lay up, at the NAACP, that kind of situation, right? So not only is the age, but also the locale of the brick also important. I'm trying to find my what I do with my spoon, my scoop. So I'll take those into consideration. Good question. Let me get these uh, jars here. Yeah, y'all give me 1 second. I think I can find my scoop right quick. Hey, what's going on? Y'all, I'll be right back. All right. Wait a minute. Hey, what's going on? Good to see you made it on on the live, all of my a lot of my in-person clients. See, I thought I was just, unlike a number of modern practitioners, my ministry is not just online. So before I even knew what Periscope or YouTube really was like that, I had in-person clients who are still uh, very satisfied and very, uh, very glad to have them. Anyway, so yeah, that's what brick does. Where's my jar? Here we go. You're just gonna jar these right quick. So yeah, a lot of the behind the scenes of root doctors is making medicines, powdering down stuff, making tinctures and oils and potions and that kind of situation. And then also, hey, and then also, checking up on clients. Doing updates. Now in the digital age, it's more than just a phone call. You've got email, and there was a time where people could come over and see your work. They're all the way in London. Obviously, they can't do that, so you have to, make sure you take pictures or record a video and then send that to them so they can know their work is being done. Um, a lot of it is keeping your own spirits fed, right? Um, That's what I would say. Those would be the top three things, like behind the scenes, keeping your own spirits fed, being in the lab, which normally goes from that or evolves out of that, and then checking up on clients, checking up on customers. Um, I would say would be the majority of the behind the scenes stuff of workers, which you don't see. Um, if they're like in the public eye. At least I know. Well, let me say this. I know for me that's what it is. And then uh, also, if you're in a pinch, uh, can you just put the brick in the yard until you can? I don't know. You probably already have bricks in your yard. Your house probably is made of brick. Um, yeah, you can do that. Um, I would say this: if you're not going to powder down a brick, and some people have said, well, you just place a brick, by the front door, place a brick by the mailbox, when people's mailbox are at the edge of their property, that will suffice. And yes and no. Yes and no. So, for example, this is something that I found out too, teaching people and coming online. Is there a lot of things that we as workers take for granted that you already know? It's almost like when you talk to an IT person, they think you know what WAN and LAN is and fiber optics. You don't know what any of that stuff is. They take it for granted. So they assume that you know a lot of things that you might not already know. So back to the example of the brick. If there's a brick put by the front door or a brick put by the mailbox or whatever, normally that brick has been doctored, right? It's been worked on so that all you need is just that brick. It's not just a random brick from Lowe's you put right by the door. That brick has prayers that have gone along with it. A ritual may have been done over it, depending upon what tradition that work may come from. There may have been a sacrifice done over that brick, right? There might have been blood soaked into that brick. There may have been rum um, or that brick might have been fed different things. There might be um, signatures or sigils or whatever carved into the brick. That brick may have been buried at a number of places, let's say by the railroad or something like that, before it was just put up, by in the yard. It wasn't just a 99-cent brick from Lowe's. Hey, drop it in the yard and you're good. No, nothing really works like that. It has to be doctored up. There has to be a um, a working. It's called root work for a reason. It has to be a working of that thing. It has to be interacted with. Is what I'm getting at. It has to be interacted with. You and that object have that object has to interact with your ashe, your energy, uh, your essence, for it to work properly for you. So yeah, if you've seen that, that's kind of the unspoken assumption, which, like I say, we as workers do that a lot. Um, we do that a lot. We'll assume you know something and say, oh yeah, just like for example, I was listening to another practitioner. Was it yes? Yeah, it was yesterday. Cleaning out the house, um, and I was laughing because all his stuff was good, but he would always tell you, like when people ask him questions, he would always say things like, "This is what you could do with that," but never actually went into the how you could do that, right? And I picked it up worker to worker, and I contacted him about it, and we and him laughed at it. But some things are assumed. It's almost like uh, a word to the wise is sufficient situation. If you know, you know. I can get the rest of that in here. Yeah. So yeah, it's about how you doctor it up. So now, part of that doctoring process, if you were doing it as an individual, would be taking a hammer to that brick. And there's a lot of rituals um, that work with breaking bricks, right? There's actually a blockbuster ritual where I mean, get very elaborate, but the nuts and bolts of it is you pretty much limpia yourself. In other words, take that brick, wrap it up, and kind of rub yourself down with the brick over a period of days, and take it out back and begin to, you know, take a mallet to it. And the idea is that that brick represents something solid, something stable, something stubborn, something unyielding, something strong, fortified, enduring, and as a consequence represents your condition or whatever you're trying to break through. So you would write on that brick permanent marker, finances or your relationship, your love life, or health situation, whatever that has been a block to you, right? A stumbling block to you, as the Bible calls it. And after the end of that 3 day, 7 day, 9 day period, whatever was prescribed to you, you would take that brick and pound it, pound it, pound it, and in your prayer, be breaking through those hindrances, right? And then you would take that powdered brick to the crossroads and blow it like a dust to carry that blockage away. I said all that um, to say that that would be part of the doctoring process, right? Beating the brick yourself. Obviously, I'm not really out here slaving over a brick and a hot hammer. I'm taking it, pounding it down to smaller pieces and then grinding it down. So how do you um, compensate for that lack of quote unquote sweat equity? Well, you add your other medicines into it, right? That brick before it was powdered down has had it's been doctored, it's been fixed up. So that same energy transfers whether it's a whole brick or a powdered brick. And then of course even the powdered brick is going to be, mixed with other formulas, other compounds as well. I can get the rest of this in here. Okay, nothing but brick dust. It's going. We can pack that thing down in there. There we go, like that. So that's what I would say about that. And the other thing, behind the scenes, a day in the life, is, like I said, looking after your clients, uh, you know, inventory basically, making formulas or, buying goods, that, uh, feeding your spirits. And then uh, if you have students, apprentices, god kids, then if you have a spiritual house you take care of, then of course that also is behind the scenes stuff. So do you always have your head covered when you're doing work? I'll be honest with you, no. Okay. Should I? Probably, yeah. Do I in most cases? Yes. Um, but do I do it every single time? No, I don't. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not the grand poobah or the master guru. Um, there are times that I'll be in the middle of work and realize, my hair is breathing, that kind of thing. But I can't get up because whatever I'm doing and go, get a head covering. But um, yeah, but there are some situations where, like, there are some works that I put it like this: if I'm doing inventory, making oils, powders, incense, whatever the case may be, my hair's probably not covered, maybe or maybe not. And if it is covered, it's probably for more practical reasons than spiritual. Uh, but if I'm working on a client, um, particularly like in person, then yes, my head is always covered. If I'm doing a cleansing or whatever the case may be, uh, then yes. If I'm doing in-person readings, then yes. So I would say, do as I say, not as I do, right? Ideally, yes, you should have your head covered when doing work or any type of spiritual engagement whatsoever. It's a good protocol. Um, and depending upon your tradition, would be what exactly that head covering looks like. Maybe it's a kufi, maybe your head is wrapped up, maybe the cloth is cotton, maybe the cloth is linen. It's interesting because even in the Old Testament, the turban of the priest, I find this very fascinating, was linen, right? Both practically and metaphorically, to um, to keep your head cool, right? Particularly if you're working with both particularly hot spirits, then yes, it's good that at least you be the cool one. I was told by my mom that you are supposed to have a white scarf on when praying. She said the angels can hear you that way. So that's interesting. Uh, there is some biblical basis to that. So uh, in Peter and Paul talk about this head covering situation. Um, Paul is a lot more strict about that the women should have their head covered when they pray or prophesy, and the men should not. Peter gives us a little bit more context for that, saying because of the angels. And so this idea goes back to this Jewish folklore about Genesis chapter 6, where the angels saw the daughters of men and desired them. So it was more of a protective measure for women. This idea that, like, if you have angels who are serving you from a higher altitude, if your head is covered, then they probably cannot detect whether you are male, female, whatever. Now, I think it's folklore. If you're an angel, you can at least tell what's male, what's female, etc. But that translates from a smaller, very small, minute perspective to a much larger, overarching view that um, when you're doing spiritual work, male, female, however you identify, or lack thereof, um, works as number one, a cooling system, all right, spiritually, all right, keeping your crown cool. And then number two, to as a shield, if you will, or I guess I really should say a repellent or a um, deterrent. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. A deterrent from spirits, energies that want to manipulate you. Yeah. So speaking of that homecoming, I had planned on doing like a big. Y'all know my birthday's coming up next week. I was planning on doing this big thing, Friday, this big feast, and at this local restaurant, and I was gonna put out the notice to everybody. I was kind of short minute about it. Um, like, hey, you guys come down, and it's gonna be a Friday. Uh, we'll hang out at the restaurant, talk and chat, drink, whatever, and that way y'all be back home in time for Mother's Day. Well, I put it off, because I just knew that the venue was going to be open. I don't know why I assumed that. So I called them today, and this might be them texting me back. Who is that? Oh, that's spam. They're like, basically, yeah, we're booked that Friday, so that's a no go. So I'll keep y'all posted on what we decide to do about that. What we decided to do, but I had to plan. It was gonna be nice. It was gonna be good food and good drinks, and people who I've never met, whether they were blessed by my ministry online or wherever, could come down and check me out in person. I'm actually a real individual. I'm flesh and blood. I'm not a YouTube hologram. And we were gonna prophesy over some folks. I already had my team geared. He would bring a donation. We would uh, prophesy, give them a word for the upcoming year, or for the next season of their life, rather. But we'll either reschedule that, or I don't know what we're gonna do about that. All right, let me get these other herbs out of here. I'll be right back, y'all. I gotta clean this grinder out, so we don't have any contamination. Next thing you know, you be having soap with brick dust in it and wonder why your skin peeling off. That kind of craziness. Let me tell you, you want to do this outside if all possible, because this thing, makes a powder out of it. You can put bone in here. I'll put antlers in here. I'll put a whole skeleton in here. I'm not going to tell you of what. But I put a skeleton in here. Just nothing but just powder. And I'm talking about like baking soda fine powder. I'm like, in your eyeball powder. So I fell in love with this. All right. Let's there we go. Unless I'm out of there. All right, but let me get these other. I got boxes and boxes of herbs and stuff. Matter of fact, let me check to see if these other stalks are ready. I have them out here drying. All right. These are not as dry as I would like them to be, but they will do. So these are the Let me see something. Yeah, I'm not gonna part of this just yet. And no plans to come to Paris. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Um, it is not dry enough. But these are so if you get flowers from someone, right? Particularly like a loved one, or a lot of people they ask me. I had a case. Was it last year, 2 years ago? Um, Very persistent case of a mother and her two sons. The sons were grown. She's an older lady, uh, predicate elder. And her sons were like, not checking in on her, and one of them was very, very disrespectful, and she just kind of felt like alone in the world. Her two sons aren't really looking after her, that kind of thing. And she's old school, so that's a big no-no. So she was asking about ways she could work on that, and what I told her to do is save what's your feelings on marijuana used by workers and the effects on their work. Also, how would you use it in a work such for love or spirit or hate work? Um, uh, well, let me finish this. So I told her, take the roses when they dry, powder them down, and then mix them with like a an influence powder, right? And when you write them, um, what was a butterfly? When you write them, powder down your letter. She did that, and I can't remember if it was the oldest or the youngest, but that had almost immediate effects on him. The other one was a little bit stubborn. Took about, I would say, about 2 months. He came around as well. But because roses are a sign of love, that's going to rekindle the love situation, and then also that influence powder is going to, get them to see her side of things. So the other question was, um, what's your feelings on marijuana used by workers? All right, I think I covered this on a live on YouTube, in passing. So first of all, here is here is my stop. My stop is, what's your feelings on marijuana used by workers? Pause. I don't give my opinions on any other work or how they work. Whether you know about my channel, we don't do, opinionated posts, things like that. I don't even, it's rare for you to mention another worker by name on my channel. It's just something I just don't do. Because I don't want nobody talking about their opinions about how I work, etc. But, so to that, I don't want to say but, let me say and to that point, every worker is different, and if they've been doing it, clearly it works for them. Now, what I have found personally, and what I have found with my peers, is what do I want to say? Because I mentioned this before. What was the example like? I know I talked about. I'm trying to think about a couple of stories. One of them was about cocaine. So there's if you ever watch um, American Horror Story, there's one where they try to contact Legba with cocaine, right? Now, everybody's spiritual court is different for the most part. So therefore, some things you can't give your spirits. Either they have they oppose it altogether, they don't like it, or this is what I have found using cannabis. in certain spiritual works, and what I find a lot of my peers also experience is it produces unpredictable results, depending upon your strain you use, that kind of thing. It produces unpredictable results because it puts the spirits in an unpredictable state. Now, if you're a worker working for a client, you want to eliminate uh, unpredictability as much as possible, because then you can't set, good expectations. I had a friend of mine who his spiritual heritage is from Mexico. So he works very strongly with Santisa Muerte, strongly with a lot of the Am I Polero? Absolutely not. Never, never claimed to be. No, not a Polero or anything like that. I have a lot of close friends who are Poleros, like friends with Tata and Gangas. Um, so, but no. Um, yeah. Uh, what was I gonna say? Uh, no, not at all. Not at all. I have a deep love for the religion of Apollo. I have Congo roots, and from one reading I got, there's a strong Polero bloodline, but that's not where I am today. Um, what was my point? I was getting to marijuana and cocaine. So what I was saying was, for some spirits, they don't want it, they don't like it. Other spirits, they ask for it, but they can handle it. Other spirits, it will produce unpredictable results. What I was going to say is a friend of mine who is Mexican, and he works very strongly with that path. And he got licentia, he got permission from his godparents, from his spiritual court, to use it in certain instances, use cocaine. And the thing went boom. It really blew up for him, as far, in a good way, But it got the spirits very, very active, overactive. So you want to keep your spirits cool, depending on what kind of workings you're doing. So that's what I would say about that. All right. Because a lot of times that phrase, "What do you think about what this worker is doing?" is really a question of, do you advise that I do this? And so to that I would say, stick with what you know. All right. On that particular thing, um, get to a practitioner and consult. Do you always work with spirits? That's, isn't that a existential question? Isn't that a philosophical question? Do you always work with spirits? Um, that's an existential question. Uh, no, you're fine. A lot of people are new here. I think I just topped over 1,000 subscribers. So yeah. Do you always work with spirits? So I try to answer that. I mean, yeah. I guess in one sense or another, you know. Uh, when I train my apprentices, one of the first things we go over are the different magical philosophies, right? And there are 5 magical philosophies that practitioners hold around the world throughout the ages. Um, Supposedly, 5 magical models. The 5th one hasn't really, it's not really substantiated, and the 4th one, um, people use it to sound deeper than they really are. But so really, you really have 3, and that's the spirit model, which is the oldest magical model. It's an animist model, that everything is conscious. Every natural thing in the world has a spirit animating it, And then the second model is the energy model. You kind of got that. I would say that became strong around the late 50s, early 60s, particularly with the influx of the Western systems into, or excuse me, Eastern systems into the West, like India, for example. We began to get it more into the energy model. Started seeing a big rise in Reiki and things like that. Everything became energy, energy, energy. But that the idea was that the energy was not conscious. It was not independent of you. Um, so it could not say no or yes. It was just energy. And then the more recent models come up. Let's say the late 80s, early 90s, which is really the predominant model now, is a psychological model. And you get a lot of that with the works of, I think, Austin Sparse is his name, with the Chaos Magicians, Chaos Magic, which is basically that um, there are not spirits. So let's say we're working with old school conjuring as far as like Solomonic magic, right? Conjuring angels and demons or daemons. Just as a working example of this model. So if you were in the spirit model, then yes, you would. Your philosophy is these are actual, independently conscious um, entities, right? They have likes, wants, feelings, dislikes, aversions, habits, behaviors, the whole nine. They are pretty much uh, incorporeal persons. If you worked with the energy model, then you would see them not as persons or personable, but more as principles or more as energies, right? Raw energies, almost like the Force from Star Wars. Okay. Um, so thus, it cannot be right or wrong or good or bad or evil or holy or whatever. It's just an energy, right? And so then um, the basis of morality will fall upon the practitioner or the conjurer of this energy. If you ascribe to the psychological model, then you would say they're not spirits in any external form. They're not natural forces, but rather these are projections of my deep mind, of my deep subconscious mind, right? And so, what I consider a spirit is an aspect of myself. It's a projected aspect of myself. So if I work with spirits, in fact, I'm working with my own deeper, unregistered parts of my own psyche. So it really just depends upon what model, what philosophy um, you you adopt. Now the fourth model, which I guess is coming on the rise on the scene, I would say Um, I still think we're in the budding stages of the fourth model. I still can't give you an era that it's come about, but it's modern. But it's called the information model. Um, and then you have the uh, fourth model, which is the meta model, which is kind of like a combination of all four of those. So really, when people have like an issue with magic as a science or as a spiritual technology, it's probably because they have heard magic talked about from a philosophical perspective that they don't resonate with. So, for example, that's what people ask, well, how can, you know, atheists or agnostics do magic? Well, probably because they don't ascribe to a spirit model. They probably ascribe to a psychological model, for example. A lot of people who are more left brain, whatever the hell that means, or more scientific, more analytical, more didactic in their thinking, if they approach magic, then they normally do it from a like psychological model, right? So that's kind of when you get people who like do. Um, well, you get my point. You get my point. What's the other question here? What is this chat about? This chat is about a day in the life of a root doctor while I'm making stuff. Um, Apprentices shop. That's why I'm logging in and hoping to grab one to learn from you and practice with you. So yeah, getting asked about this positions. Well, I'll keep you guys posted on that. I've got level 2 students and level 1 students that I'm dealing with both right now. So, when my level 2 students graduate to level 3, then I have some room and some space because at that point they'll pretty much be on their own, really. They'll be doing a lot of in the field work, so I have a lot more time on my hands with them. It won't be so hands on with them. So once that happens, then I have a lot more space and time to open apprenticeships back up. Are you still doing apprenticeships on Wednesday? Yes. Wednesday is like my only real free day. All right. Yeah, so I'm not going to use. I'm going to put these back out to dry some more. But I am going to just get the leaves. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the stalks. Let's talk about roses, for example. You know, every plant has 6 parts. If you think about the stem or the stalks of like roses. All right. These are very good if you want to attract somebody new. All right. You would use the flowers to increase or prolong or strengthen what you already have. Just like a flower does what? It blossoms, right? You want the relationship to blossom. It's already existing. It just needs to blossom. It needs to full out some more. And then you would use the leaves of the rose for like a quick fling, basically. You know, like for quick attraction. You don't really look for anything long term, but maybe not Mr. Right, but Mr. Right Now or Miss Right Now situation. Because you know the leaves come and go, right? Leaves are the more tentative part of the plant, right? And you can also, like I said, use the thorns, right, to protect an existing relationship. All right. If you got, interlopers, that kind of thing. So those are some ways you can use. I'm gonna put these back out and get the leaves here. I'll be right back, y'all. And so about apprenticeship and training with me and being taught, I have a lot. I have a large online archive that you can reference, whether it's on YouTube, through the Conjure Chronicle channel here, or on Facebook in the Hoodoo Bible Study. So if you're not a part of that group, definitely, um, you know, um, submit to be added. It's on Facebook. Just type in Hoodoo Bible Study, called HBS for short. I do teachings there every Thursday. We put up, besides that, um, it's a Facebook group, so people are in there dropping, nuggets all the time. Um, but every Thursday, I go through questions. People ask me questions, and I answer them to the best of my ability. And then you also have my paid programs, which are a little bit more advanced than the stuff I give out, publicly. You can find that at gumroad.com/Doktor NeWage, or you can go to Khozmiq.com, KHOZMIQ, and click resources. It'll have a list of some more of my advanced training. So I recommend if you're thinking about being an apprentice, start there, right? Go back through my videos on YouTube. Join the Hoodoo Bible Study. KHOZMIQ.com. Khozmiq.com. www. I say, hey, I couldn't think any. I was thinking about some deep name to use at the website. So, hey, just put Khozmiq. Yeah. I would say start there first before you invest in an apprenticeship. That way kind of my teaching style, my personality, my demeanor, because everybody's not for everybody. Everything is not for everybody. So, that's what I say. Every teacher is different. The way they teach is different. So that's what I recommend people do. Check out the stuff I have out there for free and say, hey, yeah, I can connect with him, or maybe that's not really my cup of tea. Before you get in there, be like, oh yeah, that's not, and you wasted your time. That's what I meant to get. I'll be right back. Oh shit! Forgot to get the blow. I'll be right back. Let's cube the dust. All right, so venturing in DC, venturing yourself in other religions. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of readings into the spiritual path. So I mean, I already know where I'm going. All right. It's just not time to go there. That's all. It's not time to go there. So I won't talk about what they are or where they are right now. One of those things you wait and watch, you'll see. But yeah, I have a lot of I don't want to use the word inside scoop, but I have a lot of close friends that are in who are priests or high priests or priestess and other traditions. So that's when people. So people are like, "Are you voodoo?" I'm like, "No." You know a whole lot for somebody not initiated. Or are you Paulo? I'm like, no. You know a whole lot for somebody not initiated. It's only because I know people who know. That's the only reason why I know. Because I know people who know. Let's put some incense out here. Yeah, I put incense out when I'm working outside or I'm cutting the grass. All right, so yeah, so we got yeah, yeah. So how can I do this? Let's see. All right, so we got these are rose leaves, right? So we're just gonna put them in the grinder. Just gonna make quick work of them. Just pack them on in there. It's not gonna hurt nothing. I'm gonna put a couple more in there. All right. So just pack that in there like that. It'll be fine. It will. This phone say it's about to give out in a little bit. And I got to head out in a few anyway because I got to pick up a friend of mine. And well, let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. Hey, we can let that go on for a little bit more. But you can see how it's already like, I mean, powder like nothing. I just gotta give it some more time. All that would be nothing but powder. So actually, at this point, we can add this rest of this in there. Like so. Alright. Alright. There you go. Alright. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let you take. Ooh man, that smells like fresh mowed grass. Let you guys see what we got here. Y'all can see it's like fresh mowed grass. Reduced to powder. Look at that. Fine powder. So yeah, that's one way how I make medicines. Line them up like that. We're gonna take that and we're gonna sift it out. That's from the leaves of rose branches, rose leaves. Now, I want to deal with the leaves, but I wouldn't do it with the leaves, but goes in with the stalks. That those stalks or those branches, when powdered down, and you sift them from their fibers, then you can use that as a component in incense. So if you know about the old school, powdered incense like Anna Riva and what the Sisters of New Orleans and Indio and stuff like that. Yeah, they're powdered incense, and the basis of that is wood pulp, or basically sawdust. Really is what it is, sawdust. So, tell my team that what you can do is, depending upon what effect the incense is supposed to produce, then you can substitute the sawdust for the powdered branch uh, of a wood or a tree that will produce that effect. Just getting all this stuff out the crevices of this. Somebody asked here about a retreat or something. I want y'all to know that my mother church, the spiritualist church of African traditions, under Bishop Keone, we are having our convocation in September. I think September 13th and 14th, if I'm not mistaken, at the retreat center down there. So if you're in the Florida area or want to see us live in person, we're going to be doing workshops out there, trainings out there. There's going to be cleanses. There's going to be a drumming. There's going to be a banquet. So it's going to be really, really nice. So if you're in that area, you plan on being in that area, you just want to come just for that, then definitely check out the Spiritualist Church of African Traditions, Yahweh International, I think it is. You can find us on Facebook also, and all the information for that event will be available to you. It's gonna be good stuff. I think the tickets are like $85, something like that, something very reasonable. As if you order in advance, and $100 at the door, I think, something like that. All right, so we got that. We're gonna blast that with this. So we got one of these little air blowers that get all the particles out of there. Then we're just gonna sift this. We're just going to sift this. Well, I got to get the hell out of here, number one, because I really got to get to work. Y'all kind of slightly distracted. And two, because my battery about to die. So, I'll check you guys later. But thanks for, getting a kind of an inside scoop on what root doctors do when they're not on camera, right? I think so, Doc. Can't see.